Hello everybody, I'm Alicia Gadsden and welcome to LiveFit Kitchen. We're joined today by Dr. Andrea Purcell, author of the healthy cookbook Feed Your Cells. Hello Dr. Purcell.
Hi Alicia.
Thank you everybody for being here. We are sharing a quinoa pilaf with you today. This is another of Dr. Purcell's recipes that she's shared with me. And to begin with, we're going to start with a little coconut oil and some herbs and spices. Now I need to saute those for a minute or two, and Dr. Purcell is going to talk you through the health properties of what's going into the pot while I'm cooking it on the stove behind us.
Thank you, Alicia. Okay, so we're using coconut oil, which is a saturated fat. However, it's a saturated fat, but it's also high in, it's a high heat oil. So what that means is that it's not going to go rancid at high temperatures. And it's also a medium chain saturated fat. So it's easy to digest. It's actually the only other medium chain fat that's very common is the fat found in breast milk. So it's easy to digest and it's not the same as butter. It's actually healthier for us. So while she's sauteing up those herbs, we also have a number of herbs that are anti-inflammatory that are going into this dish and making it very, very flavorful. The first one is ginger. We have about an inch of ginger root that we've grated up. And ginger is anti-inflammatory. It's great for digestion. We've got some turmeric in there, also a great anti-inflammatory herb. We've got some coriander and some cumin. Adds a lot of flavor into the coconut oil.
Okay, so I finished sauteing and I've got all of the herbs and the oil well combined. You can see that there, it's coating the bottom of the pan. And what we're going to do is put in our cup of quinoa. Now this has been rinsed, and we're actually adding that to the herbs and the oil first so that we can get a good coating there.
Smells so good.
It really does. Yeah, this is one of those sort of warming fall and winter recipes that's going to be really popular. So we'll coat the quinoa and really make sure that the color, because of course the turmeric has that really obvious yellow color, so I'll be able to see when I've coated the quinoa fully. And then we'll be adding the water to it and cooking for 15 minutes. So we'll be taking another short break just as I'm finishing this off. Now, Dr. Purcell, you said something about coconut oil on that last break, and I wanted to make sure we shared that with everybody.
Yeah, I think that's so important. Thank you, Alicia. So coconut oil comes in two different kinds, a virgin and a regular. The virgin coconut oil actually tastes like coconut. It has a coconut flavor. And the original coconut oil has no flavor at all. And I think that's very important when you're buying coconut oil, because I'll ask my patients, do you like the taste of coconut? Because if you do, you can buy the virgin coconut oil and many of your dishes will have the essence of the coconut flavor in them. If you don't like coconut, then you really should buy the original coconut oil and still get some of the medicinal properties that we talked about, but you won't have the flavor of coconut.
So that is an important choice for you to make. So now I have the water in here and everything's ready to go. We'll cook it for about 15 minutes and we'll be back. So I just took the quinoa off the stove and you can see that it's nice and light and fluffy and all of the water has cooked off. So we're going to put this into a pan, and while I'm putting the final ingredients in, Dr. Purcell is going to talk to us about the wonders of quinoa, because you know in LiveFit I'm really a big supporter of quinoa. I think that it is truly a superfood, and Dr. Purcell can tell us a little bit more about why that is.
All right, so if you're a follower of quinoa or of LiveFit, you know all about quinoa. However, if you are new to LiveFit, you may not know about it, and it's also a little hard to pronounce and confusing. So this is spelled Q-U-I-N-O-A, and you want to sound it out so that it sounds like quinoa, but it's actually pronounced quinoa. And it's an ancient seed actually from Peru and South America. So quinoa is not really a grain, it's a seed. And what we know about seeds is that they're very, very nutritious, even more so than grains. And in seeds are all of the fundamental nutrients and proteins and all the things of a potential plant. And that's what quinoa brings to us when we eat it. So it is a complete protein. It has all of the essential amino acids, and it's high in protein. It's also high in calcium, which brings up a good point, because I guess that's a question you get quite a bit, huh, Alicia?
How am I going to get calcium if I don't eat dairy? And it's in so many foods.
So quinoa is another one of those foods.
So what I've added to the quinoa here was the spinach, the green onions, some dried cherries. They're the dried tart cherries. They have not been sweetened or sulfured. Now, we know that dried fruit is basically a sugar bomb, and generally dried fruit is not on my list of things that I choose to eat. But a quarter of a cup of dried tart cherries with no sugar in them spread over many servings of this quinoa, I think is not a bad choice for a side dish sometimes. So the final ingredient that I'm going to add is the cashews. They're roasted cashews. I chose the unsalted because there's already salt in the recipe, and I did chop them up a little bit. You might save a few though, just, you know, for the top for garnish if you want to. And of course the lime juice for that little bit of tang. If you like, you can add just a teeny little bit of black pepper, and your quinoa pilaf is done.
Quinoa is also one of those very satisfying foods when it comes to a proper carb, protein, blood sugar balancing component. And I know that many of my patients will say, wow, I love quinoa because I feel so satisfied after I eat it. There's a different feeling inside your body when you eat quinoa compared to eating brown rice or another grain.
That is entirely true. I feel great when I eat quinoa.
I agree.
Look at that. And isn't that pretty?
It's
You can see the
beautiful.
cherries and the nuts and the different greens in there. It smells amazing. This is a winning fall side dish.